The war between kingdoms rages on, and I remain imprisoned. But all of this changes today. Today is the day I've been planning for the last 5 years. It was time to escape this castle and face the open world. I'm going to attempt to survive 100 days in medieval Minecraft, with new places to explore, new enemies to take on, fantastical beasts to face. Will I be able to attain the best armor in the game, to tackle those dungeons and take out the trolls? Let's find out. Our first day, but I wasn't free just yet. They'd already sent a search party after me. I had to get out of here as soon as possible, otherwise it could all end here. I traversed through thick green foliage and beautiful wildlife. It was great to breathe in the fresh air. I then got on with the basics, collecting wood, but then I came across some trouble. It seemed there was a giant. This thing was massive. I tried to creep up on him. I didn't know whether these guys were hostile or not, but I could see sheep and I needed food. But then, he noticed me and started chasing after me. I ran away as fast as possible. He was so close. My survival instincts kicked in. I took a leap. I'd made it and sprinted away from the giant. Whew. That was a close one. After escaping the fierce giant, I then stumbled across a small hut. I headed in to see if anyone was home, but it seemed abandoned. But there was a fresh pie left. I had to eat it. I was too hungry. I then headed upstairs. A place to stay, and a chest full of incredible loot. This was just what I needed. Some great progress made in just one day. I looked out the window and could see it was sunset, so I got a good night's rest. It seemed I was going to face some extreme dangers on our medieval fantastical journey. This was only the beginning. Fresh-faced and bright-eyed, day 2 was here. I snatched up the loot and then equipped these trousers. Like how snazzy I look. I then decided to take the bed with me and head downstairs. It seemed to just go on forever and ever. Things got real dark real quickly. This place was haunting. I chewed my way through the iron bars, had a look around, but then I was attacked by a spider. I was so on edge. I then noticed I could see a troll, but then he noticed me. His roar echoed throughout the dungeon. I had to get out of here as soon as possible. That was a close one. Whew, it's time to keep moving. I headed out into the wild and came across this giant castle-like structure filled with soldiers, and also this tower surrounded by these magical flowers. But then I heard something. It was an evoker summoning Vexes. I sprinted out of there as soon as possible, heading over hills. But then I witnessed something absolutely beautiful. A real-life Pegasus. Look at this thing. It was absolutely magnificent. I then stumbled across a medieval-like structure, so I headed down. But then I was ambushed by a group of zombies, so I had to strike them one by one, chopping them up into pieces. I then headed out. The Pegasus was even following me. This was strange. I decided to get some sleep. The next day, I headed into the vast medieval plains, hoping I'd find civilization. But I was so very wrong. This, my friends, was a Deathbringer camp. They were screeching and roaring at me. I had walked into their territory and I had to get out as soon as possible. I sprinted into the woodlands, but a dragon's nest was nearby. I didn't know what to do. I just ran away. He was screaming at me. I was panicking. The only way out of this was down. I had to head into the caves. He was following me. I thought I was going to lose my life. I decided to head deeper and deeper down, hoping I'd find some ores. After an extremely intense few days, I enjoyed the downtime mining. I found a bunch of iron, redstone, blue lapis, loads of everything. I was feeling so good. I then stumbled across some diamonds. I couldn't believe it. These things are my most favorite thing in the whole wide world. I then headed back. I thought the best thing to do was just to dig straight up, away from the dragon. After traversing the medieval world for a good few days, I finally stumbled across something that would change the fate of our future. A village. Finally. This was just what I needed, a safe haven. I decided to take some time to get to know the locals, and they welcomed me with open arms. The town leader even let me stay for as long as I liked. I looked up at the starry night and got some rest. Wow. But we had no time to waste. We had to keep on moving. I used the temporary home to store my inventory. Look at us go. It was time to get the ball rolling. I surveyed the area and I found a bunch of structures that I would explore later on. This was great. I then decided to explore the town a little more, and I found a chest filled with a bunch of amazing loot, even some obsidian. I then collected a bunch of resources, stone, dark wood. I even made a chisel so I could make some really beautiful blocks. I then headed out to find a spot I would build, yep, you guessed it, my new home. The structure was complete, and I have to say, I was pretty impressed with myself. I'm getting better at this whole building thing, you know. I decided to really go for the medieval feel with those glass panes. I took a look at the sun blazing in the sky and decided to add some furnishing, tables, chairs here and there, and then I took a seat to enjoy my new home. I then utilized the diamond and ore I collected earlier to craft some weaponry and a little bit of armor to keep me protected against the dangers in this medieval world. Oh, also, I completely forgot. Before I started building my house, this, like, hawk thing was, like, firing its spikes at me and doing some serious damage. So I took some time to take this bad boy out, collected his feathers, and made myself a legendary weapon. Like, how cool is this? This was the fastest sword ever. I then collected a bunch of food because things were about to get serious. Before I could tackle this tower, I need to be more prepared. So I headed down and dug for more ores, but then I stumbled across a dungeon. Yes, our second dungeon so far, but I was feeling a little bit more prepared. I wonder what danger awaits. I could hear the screeches from the undead soldiers crawling towards me. I struck down the first rotten beast, but they just kept coming. They were fully armored. I used all of my power, and another one down. But another wave of undead soldiers. Their thick armor was incredibly difficult to penetrate, but with perseverance and determination, I managed to strike them both down. It was time to progress. I headed deeper into the dungeon, taking on enemies. One zombie down, and then another zombie down. But then things got serious. My life was almost taken, down to just 2.5 hearts. I had to run away. I was being stalked by a zombie pillager. Oh, those baby zombies can end everything. A close call, but I had to keep moving. I headed deeper into this devilish dungeon. I found this room that was radiating heat, but I was ambushed by a bunch of spiders. But with a little bit of dodging and a little bit of sword work, I took them both out. I blocked off the wall, and I started mining for resources and XP. There was even a bunch of obsidian in here, so I decided to take advantage of the time and the safety and get as much obsidian as possible, because I'd need to head into the nether at some point. 11 obsidian. Great progress. It was time to keep on mining. I mined for days and days. I wanted more diamonds. I needed those diamonds. And by the end of it, well, I had a bunch, and I was feeling incredibly great. Look at this. It was time to head back as soon as possible. I ran and I ran and I ran, and finally made it back home. And I crafted myself a full set of diamond armor. The helmet looks kind of weird, though. After getting some sleep, I headed the next day to breed some cows together because I need more leather to make the enchantment table. Yep, I planted some sugar canes too, but in the meantime, I headed over to that tower. Fully lathered up in diamond armor, I was feeling more prepared. It was time to scale this beast. I started to accept the fact if I fell, it would all be over. I was successfully scaling this momentous structure. It was incredible. I then witnessed a view. The view was absolutely breathtaking. You see that giant down there? Wow. That castle was also filled with soldiers that I'd have to tackle later. I then finally made it to the top. I wondered what would await me. Would it be an enemy? Nope. It was a wizard. A very friendly wizard that was trapped up here, and he's been here for years. He gave me some spell books, even his hat. We chilled for a little while, had a conversation, and then I got a good night's rest. The next day, I thanked him for his time and jumped off this huge structure. Wow. Some incredible progress. Ah, look at that giant. I'll be back for you, buddy. I then planted the brewing stand that the wizard had given me. I wanted to keep the momentum, so I decided to make a start on the enchantment table. I just didn't have enough resources at this point, so I headed out to breed my cows together and then plant some sugar canes. They were like little incremental things, but they make a big difference. I then spent the night killing zombies, and then I grabbed a good night's rest and waited for the sugar canes to grow. Big things were coming, but I just wasn't quite prepared. I had to work harder, so I dedicated the next few days solely to my cows and the sugar canes. And by the end, I had a bunch of resources. I also felt kind of bad, because look at this, I had to like slaughter all of the cows I dedicated so much time to. But they didn't die for no reason, so we can just sleep easy knowing that, eh? I then spent the next few days making paper, making a bunch of books, collected a bunch of wood so then I could craft bookshelves. And yep, you guessed it, I finally made the enchantment table, planted a bunch of bookcases, and leveled that bad boy up. I even enchanted my boots with feather falling, but I needed more XP. And well, for that, you guessed it, we're heading to the nether. So I grabbed some flint, grabbed the obsidian, and crafted the nether portal. I built the portal as fast as possible. That ender dragon fight was just around the corner. Using my flint and steel, I sparked up the portal. This was it. It could all end here. But I headed in anyway, to face the dangers of the nether. This place was radiating heat, but I couldn't believe it. I was the luckiest person on Earth. My nether portal spawn was underneath a nether fortress. I took full advantage of this. I protected my nether portal with cobblestone and then headed out mining those quartz for that XP. I even killed a bunch of endermen for ender pearls. And I mean, I killed a lot of endermen. I needed those pearls to get to the ender dragon. I then spent some more time collecting quartz and then headed to the nether fortress. Upon entry, I struck down a wither skeleton. I was feeling like a beast. But then I was attacked by a blaze, and these things lit me up in fire, my skin scorching. These blazes were no joke. In groups, they could take you out in a matter of seconds. I headed deeper into the fortress, striking down the blazes. I had to work quickly. My first blaze rod. Great work. I dedicated days to fighting the blazes. I stalked that blaze spawner, and as they appeared, I struck them down, collecting those blaze rods. But I got a little bit too overwhelmed. It was time to get out of here. So I sprinted away, deeper into the nether. I couldn't believe it. We had made some serious progress, but now it was time to head home. I made it back safely to my nether portal. I took one last look at the hell, and then headed back to the overworld. It was time to enchant all of my weapons and armor. We finally did it. I was feeling OP. The dragon was just around the corner, however, I had one more thing to do. It was time to face the giant. I couldn't sleep easy knowing my villagers were terrified of the giant nearby, so I repaired my shield and headed over to face this beast. Once located, I created some elevation and then fired my first bow shot. My first shot made contact, and he was furious. I missed my second shot, so I decided to close the distance. But I think it was a bad decision. He headed towards me. I didn't know what to do. I ran away. His colossal stature was incredibly intimidating, and also, even despite his size, he was incredibly fast. He closed the space. I didn't know what to do, so I held my shield up, taking the blows of his hits. But then he picked me up. I held my shield, but he broke it. I didn't know what to do. I ran away with just half health, taking and picking my shots with my bow. He chased me and chased me out into the open fields. I had to pick my shots. I had to strike him with my bow, but he wouldn't let up. I just kept moving. I kept striking. Oh no! My last few shots. Could I do it? Could I do it? Could I beat him? Yes! I had defeated the giant. Wow. We'd done it, ladies and gentlemen. I headed home and crafted another shield. But the fight wasn't over. I grabbed myself some wheat, headed out into the plains, and grabbed myself a trusty steed. With this companion, I'd be unstoppable. Once we bonded, I applied some gold armor. Look how badass he looks. Wow, we were making some serious progress, and the Ender Dragon was so close. I headed home. I let my steed sleep in the house, because, well, he's just a chill dude, and I didn't see any problem with it, okay? Before the Ender Dragon fight, I had one last job, and that was to get revenge on those that had taken me prisoner. So I found their hideout, told my trusty steed to await, and headed in. I surveyed the area and made my way to the front, but it was a mistake. An entire army chased me and almost took my life. I couldn't believe I was so stupid. I ran away and headed home and came back a few days later, more prepared. I decided to take a distant approach, picking my bow shots and taking them out one by one. I felt like Rambo, hiding in the trees, taking their lives. I picked my bow shots and I was incredibly accurate. One soldier thought he could take me on, and well, he picked the wrong guy. I was furious that they had captured me, so I decided to strike him down. No mercy. I then continued to the tower. I found the captain. Boom, I took the captain out and the bow and arrow guard, splitting him into pieces. But once again, I made a mistake. A whole group of them were waiting for me at the top. I had to jump down. I had to get out of there. I created some distance between us. I just couldn't believe I couldn't get revenge. I needed the information of where the main base was, but I guess I wouldn't be accomplishing that in this 100 days. Maybe it was something I would return to in 200 days. I watched the sun set, because tomorrow was a big day. It was time to face the Ender Dragon, so I brewed up all of my potions using the Blaze Powder and Netherwort. I made Strength 2 potions and then crafted all of the Eye of Enders I would need. I then took one last look at my house, a walk around the village. I thanked the townskeeper for allowing me to stay. I hoped I would return, but you never know, it could all end here. I threw my first Eye of Ender high into the sky. It was time to head out and find the stronghold. It took me days and days traversing through extremely dangerous environments. I made it to a vantage point and surveyed the area, and look at this, a giant castle and a fierce dragon high in the sky. I threw my second Eye of Ender, heading deeper into the world. I even came across a wizard, and he told me the direction in which to go. I finally found the location in which the Eye of Enders were pointing to. I dug down, came across that mossy cobblestone, and found the stronghold. I took out a few zombies, and then located the portal. I took out the spawner. Oh, I was nervous. I placed the Eye of Enders, covered up the lava in between. The last few. This was it, the moment I faced the dragon. I headed in. Oh, so many Endermen. I took out the first crystal with my bow. However, the Endermen delayed my progress. A bunch of them were attacking me. The dragon was furious that I was destroying all of her healing crystals, but I continued striking them down, taking away her ability to regenerate. I then headed down, slurped up my Strength 2 potion and began attacking her, but her giant wingspan swooped me up into the air. Oh, this could be it, I could lose my life. Oh, an MLG clutch, I couldn't believe it. I then continued striking her down, dodging her Dragon Balls, and finally taking her life, freeing the end. We did it! I collected all of the XP, and then I collected her dragon egg. Wow, some serious progress made. I'd done it. I then headed back home, planted the egg on the table, and chilled out for a bit. Wow, we'd accomplished so much in 100 days. I shut my 2 front doors and got a good night's rest. We'd done it, ladies and gentlemen. We'd finished our 100 days in medieval Minecraft. As always, I've been the Coffee Fueled Genius. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.